I'm Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me? Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbea, and we're on episode 105. And tonight we've got a very special guest, the Midwest Medium, June Hessler's coming on the show. I had a chance to recently record a show for her podcast, Midwest Medium Podcast, and that's going to be airing on August 20th. So I can't wait for you guys to hear that and check it out. And we had a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to tonight and kind of hearing June's story. It's an incredible one. I see a lot of similarities with my story and mediumship as well. So we'll have some fun talking about all that. But we're here on WLTK-DB.com right behind me here. If you're watching, go ahead and say hello wherever you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out. And of course, you can ask questions throughout the show, and we'll do our best to answer them. But if you haven't had a chance to go through the website lately on the station here, go to WLTK-DB.com and just check out the amount of content that's coming out of the station. It's incredible. I think there's like 25 shows, or I can't keep up with station owner Todd Bates, host of Haunted Voices. I can't keep up with him. There's so many shows ranging from cryptids to metaphysical to self-help to true crime, all that kind of stuff. There's so much good stuff. If you like this show, I know you're going to love some of the other shows. So go through and check it out. And I think you can sync your calendar to this, the station's calendar to your calendar. And so you see all the shows coming up each week. So you can be like, "Ooh, I like that one. I'm going to watch that." And we've also made it even easier too for those of us on the go, which is pretty much everybody. There's an app for the station. Just go to wherever you download your apps from and type in WLTK-DB. We've got Courtney checking in. Hello. Oh, from Wisconsin. All right, great. Well, thanks for checking in, and let us know where anybody else watching, and on YouTube, or maybe you're on some other streaming service. Go ahead and hit the comments there. So if you like the intro music, here's my shameless self-promotion of music. If you like the intro song, that's my band, Steady Rock Cosmonaut. So check that out. Hopefully you like it. It's good tunes, good vibes. SteadyRockCosmonaut.com. Check that out. And what else do I have coming up? I've got a ghost walk coming up in a few weeks. August 11th. That's a Friday. It's a 3-hour tour. So if you're in the Puget Sound area, or maybe you're traveling to the Puget Sound area around August 11th, definitely look it up. It's a 3-hour tour with tons of history and tons of stories, and we may experience things on the tour. I'll just say that a lot of times we have experiences. And so I think it's a lot of fun. The 3 hours goes by quick. I'll just say that. It sounds like, oh my gosh, a 3-hour tour. How boring is that? But it takes every bit of that 3 hours to get through it. And so it's a lot of fun. So August 11th, and you can go to PortGambleParanormal.com right here in my hat if you're watching. PortGambleParanormal.com. And I'll be announcing an event hopefully next week. That'll be on September 16th. That's a Saturday. I'm teaming up with somebody local to the Puget Sound here, and we're going to be doing a workshop and gallery reading. So you'll be able to come spend the day with us here in Port Gamble. So I think I'll be announcing that next week, and I'm going to keep you in suspense as to who it is. But anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we'll be providing all the information to get tickets for it. and come out and hang out for the day. That's going to be on September 16th. Also coming up, I'm always talking about the Oregon Ghost Conference. That's in Seaside, Oregon. That is March 22nd through the 24th. And you go to OregonGhostConference.com. And it's such a fun conference. I enjoy going to it every year. So if you haven't been to that one, you're thinking about checking it out, go to OregonGhostConference.com. And also coming up is the OC Paracon, the Orange County Paracon. And this will be the second annual in-person conference. I think they started right when COVID hit. So, but I got to attend it last year. It was so much fun. A lot of great people. And that's October 6th through the 8th. And that's ocparacon.com. So write that down, ocparacon.com. Great conference. It's put on by a host of Paranormal Perception, Henry San Miguel. He's a great friend of this show. So really good guy, great conference. Always enjoyed that one. And then, of course, we've got the 14th annual Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up right here, right in my little town here, November 10th through 12th. And you head on over to portgamble.com and hit the events tab there, and you'll see the Ghost Conference. I'm looking forward to it this year. We're able to use 2 venues in town this year. First time. So we're using the historic and haunted theater and also our Hood Canal Vista Pavilion. So we're going to be able to spread out the conference a little bit and do some more fun stuff. So you get a chance to come out and investigate. We've got some great speakers and classes. We'll be announcing those very soon. We'll start to put those out so you can see who's going to be speaking and teaching. And of course, there's all the investigations at multiple locations here at night. So go to portgamble.com and hit up the events tab there, and you'll see it. Got some great guests coming up on the show I'm excited about. I've got Dr. Kelly Schutz coming up next week, and she has the Disembodied Voices podcast. She's on Paraflix. She's a producer. She's an author. Met her at the Oregon Ghost Conference this last year, and recently had a chance to record an episode of her show, and that'll be airing, I think, in September. But she's fun to talk to. She's got a lot of stories, so that's going to be a fun one. And then coming up in August, I've got Joanne the Psychic, Joanne Clarkson out of Port Townsend. And then I've got Megan and Raina from the host of the Lunatic Soup podcast. They're going to be coming up in August as well, along with Karen Fraser, a good friend of the show here. She'll be at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. But we always have a great time talking about all the different things that she practices and uses. It's always a lot of fun, a lot of laughs usually. So be sure to tune in for that. So got a great lineup coming up, and I'll announce more as we go along. But we need to get to our special guest tonight. And we got somebody else checking in. Hey, Pete, if you want your name to show up, maybe you don't. If you want your name to show up, just go to the StreamYard Facebook page and accept the permission there for them to show your name if you'd like to do that. And as always, if you got questions about what through the conversation we're going to have tonight, feel free to ask questions. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce my special guest tonight. Like I said, I got to record an episode of her show, the Midwest Medium Podcast. It was a lot of fun. Again, that's airing August 20th. But June's had a similar experience, I guess, as far as mediumship and how that kind of went for her. But her first supernatural experience occurred around age 4 when she saw an angel in her bedroom. At age 12, she began to see her spirit guide with her at home and while in school. In addition to these visits, more supernatural and paranormal activity began and continued on for many years. After graduating college, June developed a strong interest in learning about psychics, so she read books by Sylvia Browne. That's when she realized that some of her experiences were not her imagination. The experiences continued, and around the time of her 30th birthday, June went to a local psychic medium for the first time. It was a powerful and uniquely validating experience, and little did she know this medium would later become June's spiritual teacher. After suffering the devastating loss of her son Jack in 2018, June went on a quest to learn more about where we go after our time here on Earth. As a decade-long client of Oracle Maureen, she decided to take a class that she had being offered, which focused on how to communicate with one's spirit guides. Shortly into the class, in the spring of 2022, mediumship came calling and June's psychic abilities were activated. Quickly discovered she discovered she is clairvoyant, claircognizant, and clairsentient. June found she can communicate with souls of the departed. By delivering loving messages from those in the heavenly realms, June's psychic abilities bring comfort, healing, and peace to those grieving the loss of their loved ones. So let's give June Hessler, the Midwest medium, here a big Paranormal Pete Show welcome. Woo!
Hi, Pete.
Hey, June. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking the time. I know there's a time difference, and it's
Of course, I wouldn't miss it.
not always advantageous. It's always advantageous for me because I'm always earlier than everybody else. But
yeah, you have a little bit of an advantage, but that's okay.
Yeah. We got somebody checking in here. B from YouTube saying hi. Hey, yeah, wherever you're watching from, say hi. If you know June, jump on and say hi, and we'll give you a shout out. So, just hearing, reading, and talking to you and hearing your story, I think it's one that maybe a lot of people out there have kind of experienced the kind of sequence of things or the timing of it all. And I find it interesting. I think there's more and more people getting awakenings as time goes on, right? I feel like maybe it's because there's more people. I don't know. Maybe it's technology. The veil being lifted. Yeah. I think maybe all the wireless communications and the wireless technology and electromagnetic fields might be helping to lift that veil. All the cell phone signals and everything like that. But I think there's more and more going on. And so let's talk about your awakening experience, because I'm always curious to hear how it went. So you went to a psychic medium and got some validation on things, and then later on you take this class. And what was it in the class that you kind of went, whoa, wait a second here,
Okay, so
what happened?
Yeah, that's a great question. So quick synopsis: a lot happened between when I turned 30 and saw Oracle Maureen for the very first time. It's back when she was here in Minnesota. At that time, she went by Maureen Allen. She is now legally Oracle Maureen. She is an oracle for God and the Ascending Masters. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. I felt called really to go see her. Her office was right by where I was living. And I went. I thought, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. I gave it a shot, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah.
I did not realize at the time how life-changing it truly would be, other than, oh, wow, this is real. She's giving me all this information, things that are not Googleable, things she could have never known. We don't know any mutual friends. I've never met her before. It was mind-blowing. And after that experience, I would literally tell anyone about it who would listen, which unfortunately wasn't a lot of people, but I would tell anyone that would listen. And so because it was so extraordinarily beautiful and accurate, I continued to see her like every 6 to 12 months I would go. Mm-hmm. And I would continue to see her here and there for 10 years.
Okay.
And wow. And so last year, so like late winter, early spring of 2022, I got really involved in listening to podcasts about paranormal and supernatural. And that is when I was listening to Ghost Magnet with Bridget Marquardt. And she mentioned that she was taking a parapsychology class. And I was like, what? You can take classes? And I thought that was the coolest thing. I actually messaged her producer and I said, please tell me where she's taking this class, because I knew it was online. And I got some information from her producer, and I looked into the class. and it was a lot of like book work. And I already have a master's degree, Pete. I was done with like the traditional, I'm done writing essays.
Yeah.
I'm done researching. I've been there. I've done that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a turnoff.
Okay.
And I remember telling my husband, I need to take a class. I just don't know what class it is. And he's like, well, you'll know it when you see it. Literally, Pete, I'm not kidding. That same week, Oracle Maureen, who I obviously was following on social media, she posted about a class that she was going to teach that was coming up. And the description was something like, learn how to communicate with your spirit guides. And I was like, that's the class I want. Yeah. I know Oracle Maureen. I trust her. I've known her for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's who I want to learn from. So the class was once a month, or no, I'm sorry. It was every 2 weeks. So it was basically beginner psychic development class.
Okay.
I thought, okay, well, I'm not a psychic, whatever. Yeah. I just want to learn how to communicate with my guides and angels. How can I communicate to them, and how can I better receive and discern their messages to me? That's what I was interested in.
Okay.
If it was even possible for me. I really didn't know.
Yeah, you're looking for answers. You're looking to be able to get your own answers. Yeah.
Yeah, and to hopefully grow some kind of relationship. And so that first class, Oracle Maureen was talking about the Ascended Masters. She works for the Ascended Masters, which are Jesus, Kuan Yin, Buddha, and Mother Mary. And in this class, Kuan Yin, who is the goddess of mercy and compassion, she was channeling a lot of information. And so it was very clear that not only was Oracle Maureen teaching this class, but so was Kuan Yin as being channeled through Oracle Maureen.
Gotcha.
So I went to bed that night, and so at some point, I've really learned how to discern the difference between a dream, a visitation dream, and a vision that I'm getting from heaven.
Okay.
That first night I received a vision, and it was just Kuan Yin's face. Like no words, no messages, just her face. And I really didn't know much about her before, up until this point.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And our teacher said, keep a log, journal all of your visions and all of your messages, whatever you get. So I, of course, started that right away. And then I remember the second class, our teacher wanted us to do practice mediumship readings. And I thought, yeah, right. Okay. I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a shot, but it's not going to happen. I'm not a medium. But I'll do whatever she says because I'm her student and I trust her. And so we're going, we do our thing and we write down everything we get, and then we go around and share in class, and she tells us what's a hit, hit meaning what did we get correct, or what's accurate, or what can she validate.
Right.
And then what did we get wrong, or what can she not validate today? I've learned in mediumship and psychic readings, a lot will make sense that same day. Some things will make sense later. And that's what I've learned, and I tell my clients, and it's true.
Yeah.
So I got some hits, and I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I really didn't think a whole lot of it.
Yeah. Still doubting the whole thing, maybe, in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it wasn't even like doubting. It's not doubting Oracle Maureen or even my guides and angels. It was just like, well, I always thought if you were a medium, from like birth, you're a medium. That was just my misconception.
Right.
So I was like, oh, this is different. And so that was like April of 2022. Mm-hmm. And then I kid you not, Pete, one day I was getting ready for work and I started seeing colors. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I was being activated very quickly, very early on.
Okay.
And so that was, like April of 22, and then July of 2022. So a year ago is when I received my first visitation from God directly from him. And he said to me in a very beautiful, loving, firm, commanding voice, you are to work as a medium, and a portion of your profits needs to go to charity. And okay, I'm not going to question what God tells me.
What did it, when you look back and think about it and think about the experience, and what did it feel like when you were receiving that message? Was it, can you describe any, like, did it feel different than like when you do a reading for a client today and you're communicating with somebody on the other side? Does it feel the same, or was it different?
It was very different. It was very vivid, colorful, loud, like I said, commanding, but loving and gentle at the same time. It was I would say, this is what you're gonna do. Now here you go. I mean, if that's the best way I can describe it, honestly. And when I do readings for people, things come through very similarly. But this was, it's God. This was a whole other level of being sent a message.
Right. Yeah. One that you listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In one thing our teacher has taught us is you obey. And so that was the first time, it was only a couple months later. And then, so I knew I was being pushed that direction to at some point work professionally as a medium.
Yeah.
I felt like I was being rushed. I felt pushed. I felt not ready, not confident, worried about what other people are going to think of me.
Yeah.
Being a medium is not very widely accepted in our culture. And then he came to me a second time, which was September of 22. Again, another vision, but this time it was a small white business card, and it had a rainbow. And he said business card. And that was it. So.
And you took that to mean, yep.
And
here we go.
That was September. I launched October 1st.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I think everything you're talking about as far as is your experience in awakening, I think everybody kind of feels that like it's a lot all at once, and so it does feel rushed. Like,
yeah,
it's like a river, like a dam, or the dam breaks, and it's just like
the gates are open and you don't get to pick.
Yeah, I remember feeling just like totally discombobulated for days.
Yeah.
After mine, where it's just like I'm here, but my mind's somewhere else, and I don't know what's going on, and
it's a lot to digest.
Yeah, it's totally a lot to digest. And I want to go back real quick. We had a comment. We were talking about the timing of how it's gone for in your life and in my life is about the same timing of everything. And Courtney was saying the 30s, and that we get to meet and talk with each other. There's connection, and it kind of made me think, maybe for people like us, like our guides, we have to trust that they are here for our highest and best purpose.
Right.
And so maybe, like in your 20s, you're not ready, right? Or when you're younger, like maybe you're not ready. And so when you get to your 30s, maybe like that's a time in a lot of, people's life journey, where they can stop and pause and think about connection or have more connection with people. And you're not running around so much like you are when you're younger. I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, that's just a theory.
So I think it definitely makes sense. I also think it depends on what we've contracted with God. So for me, apparently my situation was around age 30. I would be gently introduced to mediumship, and that's how it worked out for me. And then, 10 years later, I'm in this class. 12 years later, I'm in this class, and the floodgates open, and all of a sudden I'm seeing colors, So for me, it was kind of gradual in a way. But I think, I don't know that we'll ever really know, or or that the answer will be the same for everyone. I do believe for me that it's what I contracted with God. Yeah, in my 20s, no, this wouldn't have been a good idea for me.
Yeah, right.
I was very dimmed in my 20s, other than for whatever reason, developing a really strong interest to read Sylvia Browne books.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was pretty dimmed. And then, like I said, in my 30s, started getting introduced to what mediumship truly is and how beautiful it can be and how healing it can be for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the call to help people, plus what
Yeah.
you do with half of your proceeds goes to charity. So you're like doubly helping, things out there. And that was your call. And it's
Yeah.
cool that you answered it, that you answered the call.
Well, I'm trying. So 50% of my profits from all my group readings, whether they're in person or virtual,
Yeah.
go to charity. So I did receive, if I can just share quick, I did
Yeah.
receive last fall a vision of me being a child in Syria. And all of a sudden, I just know through my my clear
Mhm.
knowing channel that I'm in Syria. I'm an orphan child in Syria. And when I came out of the vision, it was very clear to me that I had the choice. I could either obey or I could turn away from it.
Yeah.
I chose to lean into it. And so I often will donate to an organization, UNICEF, that is helping the children that are suffering
Yeah.
in Syria. I also strongly support Angels Among Us Foundation. If anyone's interested in that, it is a nonprofit that was started by Oracle Maureen. It focuses on helping end the suffering of animals and humans. So those are two charities that I support, and 50% from my group readings goes to that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Got a couple people commenting. We got shout out to Debbie Romero, host of Transcend with Debbie. She loves Sylvia Browne books.
Yes.
Yeah, and B writing. I have most of her books, and they really helped me understand things back in the day. And Trudy checking in here says I started out with an obsession with Sylvia Browne as well. So
I loved
great.
Sylvia Browne, and I loved her fingernails. I loved her voice. I loved how straightforward she was. She was such a blessing, I think, for all
Yeah.
of us, and so many of us learned from her.
Yeah, and Katie checking in here. Hey, Katie, thanks for watching. With a comment, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's a good way to think about it.
So fun
Sorry.
fact, Katie's my aunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hi, Aunt Katie.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good. So, well, I think it's it takes a leap of faith, literally, I think, to start doing the work. From the time that you're
Yeah.
realizing and you're getting validation and you're having this kind of awakening experience, and when you're conscious of the experience, there's it really is a leap of faith to like put it out there
It's
that
scary.
you want to help, right?
Yeah.
And when you do, your first reading for somebody that you don't know, like, how did that go for you? Were you really nervous? How'd that go?
So
Your first reading that was not for anybody that you knew. It was like that, your first client, basically.
So we were very big into providing practice readings free of charge. And so our class was quite small. I think there's only 6 or 7 of us in class. So we kind of ran out of deceased people to practice on.
Okay.
But I was really lucky because my classmates were wonderful. I'm in Bible study with many of them still. And I would give, it's kind of funny, early on in our mediumship development or our psychic development class, we're doing practice readings and I'm doing like 45-minute readings, like almost right off the bat. It was weird. But they would recommend people. So they're someone I didn't know, like their sister or their best friend or whoever, which I loved because I was getting new free clients that I could practice on.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to have that word of mouth going around really early. So was I nervous? I suppose a little bit, but before I go into a reading, I always meditate and I clear myself. I clear my emotions, which really helps with any nerves. And then I go into the reading, and if I'm not confident, I shouldn't be reading.
Right.
I think it's that simple. So they my spirit team, they make me very confident. And so no, the nerves are gone now. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. Great.
Yeah.
I still have them.
Yeah.
I still get them and struggle with it, but I want to continue this part of the conversation. We're going to take a quick station break here on WLTK-DB.com. We're here with special guest June Hessler, the Midwest Medium, host of the Midwest Medium podcast, and let's continue this part of the conversation. Hang on, everybody. Stick with us, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, here we go.
No matter the questions, Ellie Weisensell can help you find the answers. Ellie is a gifted intuitive and a natural energy healer, which she applies using the body code and emotion code healing systems, among others, to help you achieve balance for your best results. Are you looking for more clarity about which direction to follow with your life, health, or career? Let Ellie guide you. As a psychic, Ellie can provide clarity to the path you are on, so you may use your free will to change the direction of your life. Are you wanting to communicate with a loved one who's passed? As a certified psychic medium, Ellie Weisensell can connect you with your loved ones on the other side to facilitate healing or offer closure. To schedule your appointment with Ellie, look her up on Facebook at Ellie Weisensell Psychic Medium or email her at ellieweisensell@gmail.com. That's Ellie Weisensell, Weisensell.
All right, we're back here on the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Peter Abbe, with special guest June Hessler here on WLTK-DB.com. And before the break, we were talking about her first reading with somebody that wasn't somebody she knew, and if she's nervous. And so, June, you were talking about that your guides kind of help give you the confidence to take those nerves away.
Yeah.
Now, how long? So earlier in your life, you started seeing a guide, right?
Yes.
And is that guide still with you?
Good question. So I believe so. Now, when I explained that I started seeing I didn't understand this at the time. I was 12.
Sure.
But I would see, almost like hovering about 2 feet off the floor, I would see an outline of what looked like to be like a human, but it was very obvious that they were wearing some kind of robe. I could see just their silhouette, basically. And I remember telling my parents, like, "Do you see that?" They're like, do we see what? And I was like, "Over there." Nope. Okay. So, and I'd see it at school, and of course didn't tell anybody. So I didn't see detail.
Yeah.
Now, I know that we all do have a principal spirit guide that is with us from the moment we incarnate into this life until we graduate and go to the other side. I do believe that entity, that spirit guide that I was seeing at age 12 is still with me. I know her name is Ashley. I know I have another one named Teresa. I know I have at least 2 guardian angels, possibly 3. And by the way, I just want to make it really clear. We all have spirit guides and we all have guardian angels. There's nothing special about me. We all have psychic abilities.
Yes.
To some degree, it just depends on if you want to tap into them and at what level are you allowed to use them, basically.
Sure.
So yes, she is still with me.
That's cool. I think one of my biggest challenges myself is just learning who my guides are. Like I know who some are. I don't even know their name. They don't speak. They don't speak. They just transfer stuff to me. And so I can't get their names. But
So listen, let me tell you how I got Teresa's name. So I think it's important, and I tell my clients this all the time. We can ask, but we have to be open to receiving the information however we're going to receive it. It's not up to us.
Yeah.
So I received Teresa's name in a vision while I was sleeping. And
cool.
it was literally her name spelled out in front of me, Teresa. It wasn't something that was spoken to me. It wasn't something. And I tell people, like, you can ask the question, but you have to be patient and you have to be open to however it's going to come in, whether it's a passage in a book, a lyric in a song, a scene from a movie, a vision that you might receive. I mean, there's so many ways that they'll give us the information that we're asking for.
Yeah. And I think the patience thing is key.
It's hard.
Because I always feel like when I ask, like, I want to know, but maybe I'm not supposed to with these particular ones. There's a group of 4 of them, and they're together, and I don't think they're from Earth. To sound weird and everything, I don't think they're from Earth. They're from somewhere out there. And so I'll just have to keep trying to remain patient, as patience
is hard, but I know that it can and will pay off. So if you meditate, you could meditate on it and then just go and be patient.
You know what they've probably told me, or it's like been flashed in front of me like a million times and I just didn't realize it. That's probably how it goes for me. But
it's certainly possible.
I wanted to ask that question because the guide that was there for me through my awakening experience, he's no longer around. I think he was just there kind of for that function.
Yeah.
And he had a horse with him, and the horse I still can see, and I that's kind of how I open myself up is seeing this horse and feeding the horse an apple or whatever, and and that kind of gets me. He takes me where I need to go. I guess that's the way to describe it. So he's still there, but that one guy I think was just there to facilitate the awakening process. And I've heard of other people that guides have come and gone, or maybe they served a certain purpose or getting you in a certain situation, and once that's complete, they move on to the next person. But let me ask you this: with your visions and dreams, clairsentient, claircognizant, all that stuff, when you're doing a reading for somebody and somebody comes forward, do you feel like they're actually in the room with you? Do you feel like they're on another plane and you're able, to experience and be a part of that plane? Like, what do you think? Does it vary on the person? Like, do you think that they're like someone's grandmother's coming through, let's say, you feel like consistently, are they there in the room with you? Like, where are they? Where do you think they are?
So oftentimes I do feel them in the room with me. Sometimes I'll feel them come up behind me when I'm giving a reading. Sometimes I'll feel them come at me from the side. Yes, I very much feel their presence in my room with me, even though if I'm doing a reading over Zoom, it's the coolest thing. It really still blows my mind that I can do a reading over Zoom for somebody who's halfway across the country, and it's the same exact quality that you would have if you're in the same room with your client at the same time. So yes, I definitely feel, I think it can vary a little bit depending on the soul that's coming through. I've learned, Pete, that everything that comes through in a reading is what the client has earned that day. and it's also what the soul on the other side has earned as well. So
Okay.
there's kind of like a work reward situation happening. But oftentimes, yes, I will feel the souls of the humans and even pets. I get pets all the time when I do mediumship.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's super cool. I love it. Yeah, they're in there with me.
That's great. What do you think? Did you see pets all along through your journey, or is it more of a newer thing, or do you think it's just your development and like leveling up, in a
It's
sense?
definitely my development and leveling up. Yeah. No, I would not see spirit animals growing up as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that. That's definitely a newer thing for me. We had euthanized our cat May of last year, and he came to me that same night. And it's a wild, kind of a long story. But yeah, it's definitely that for me anyway. It was part of leveling up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so, but there, I think there's some people that's all they get, but maybe they're just not open to people yet, but they pick up on animals. And our dog we had for almost 14 years, I feel when he's around, I think, and I swear sometimes I'll look, just like looking down through my, first floor of the house, I'll look, down through the way into the kitchen, and I swear I see his head peeking around where his bed was, and he's looking at me, and then it's gone.
That.
And it's gone. So I'm always like, oh, his name was Dino. So in my mind, I'll be like, oh, hey, Dino, I hope you're doing good, buddy. And
yep.
Well, that's interesting. What is I agree with your statement that everybody has psychic abilities and can do this. I really agree with that. I think it just depends on your recognition and your openness to accept it, or like openness to even like look into it. That you can start to see some abilities or feel some things. What is since you've been doing this professionally for looks like over a year now, I think.
About that. Yep.
Yeah. So in this short time that you've been doing this, you've learned so much. And what is something you could tell somebody who's maybe your best advice for somebody who's either, maybe curious about it? What's your best advice for someone who's like thinking about, like how you were thinking about and had the urge to kind of learn, read books and things like that? What's your best advice?
Oh gosh, that's a complicated question.
Sorry.
Okay. So no, but it's good. So first and foremost, if you are a person who's feeling pulled that direction, like I was, for example, with the Sylvia Browne books, trust it and do it, because you're being pulled or led that direction for a reason.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not here, but it's here. Listen to it. I tell people all the time, you don't need a medium to communicate with your deceased loved ones.
Right.
Yes, we come in handy when you want to receive messages from them, but you can literally talk to your loved ones anytime you want.
Yeah.
Either telepathically or out loud, like I'm speaking now. So I want people to know that. If you are someone who's never had a mediumship reading and you're interested, ask people that you know if they've done it and who did they see and was it a good experience. I think word of mouth with what I do with mediumship, I think is really, really important. I would never advise someone to just Google the nearest medium to their house, because I don't know if they're legit.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of fakes out there. So I think word of mouth, and who did someone you trust go see, and were they good? And if they were, go see that person.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal. I would also suggest, if you're someone that has been has been thinking about wanting to start meditating, but you're not sure how to do it or if you should do it, I would say trust that, because that happened to me too. All of a sudden, I was like getting downloaded. I need to go meditate. And I'm like, what? I don't meditate. I don't know. I don't know how to meditate.
I don't have finger symbols.
Yeah. Like, do I have to sit on the floor? That's uncomfortable. I have wood floors in my house.
Yeah.
So, but it was coming in for a reason is my point.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that, do it. Set a timer on your phone. Start at 2 or 3 minutes but stay consistent, stay devoted to it. Don't just do it 2, 3, or 4 times and then decide you're done with it, because nothing's going to happen for you.
You're not using the muscles anymore. You quit using them.
It takes work, devotion, time. There's a lot to it. That's why I say your question's so complicated. But ultimately, I feel like if people are being led to the subject matter, led to mediumship one way or the other, it's for a reason. It's happening for a reason.
Yeah, and you kind of kept going back to, trust it, trust your feeling, and that's probably one of the most challenging things in mediumship, I think, is trusting yourself. And
that's your psychic channel. So if you're familiar with Echo Bodine, so Echo, fun fact, Echo was Oracle Maureen's teacher here in the Twin Cities way back when.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of meeting Echo a couple months ago. Fantastic woman. So if you're unfamiliar, echobodine.com. She talks about that. Your intuition. It's something that we all have. It's a psychic ability. We've all been in a position where, we get that gut feeling and then we ignore it, and then it happens anyway, and then we kick ourselves because we knew we should have listened and we didn't listen, and we knew this was going to happen, but we didn't listen. That's your intuition. That's your psychic ability. The more you tune into it, the more you pay attention to it, the more you trust it and follow it, the stronger it will get.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. We're getting close on time, and I want to leave some time to talk about your events coming up. You got a couple events coming up, but so far in this journey, what's been the most challenging for you as a medium? Any part of your life or whatever, what's been the most challenging for you?
2 things. Time management. So I work full time to support my family, and I have a husband and a teenage daughter, and I'm not Beyonce. I don't have enough time in the day. So time is a struggle. Finding time to meditate, finding time for my prayer, for my Bible reading, for my classes I'm taking, which is advanced psychic development and Bible study. Just time. So my social life has tanked, which is fine because it's
sacrifice.
And truly, it might sound like I'm complaining. I promise you I'm not, because the reward is, I can't even describe it. The reward is so beautiful and so great that it's worth it for me. The other thing I would say is some people treat me different, and that's okay. I knew that would happen.
Yep.
So what do you do?
We just, and there's no way as humans we can get around that. It's bias, and we all have bias for anything. There's no way we can't have it. And, and for those that treat you different, maybe someday they'll have an experience that might change their mind, and
that's just it. Some people haven't had the experiences yet, or if they have, they've denied it. They've discounted it, maybe out of fear or ego. And that's totally fine. I'm not passing judgment on it.
Human thing.
Life has changed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. Oh man, boy. Yeah. It makes you, did you, with your faith in religion, like how did that, I'm kind of curious did it change for you, with this, or, how did it change?
How didn't it change? Okay, so
Okay.
so I grew up Lutheran.
Okay.
So I was never baptized. I was never confirmed.
Okay.
Grew up Lutheran, but we were basically church hoppers. We didn't belong to a church. We'd go to church here and there. I think I went to 2 Sunday school classes at different church.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there was no commitment whatsoever. It was like, are we going to church today? Yeah. Okay. Where are we going to go? I mean, it was just kind of stupid. With my mother's side of the family, I would sometimes go to Catholic Mass Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So that was literally the extent of my religious upbringing, which was almost nothing. Although I've always had a strong faith in God, I've always believed in Jesus. I've never questioned that. I've always felt at my core that they are real. They are part of me. I am part of them. There's some kind of connection.
Right.
So when my spiritual awakening began happening last year, my teacher, Oracle Maureen, she was offering a Bible study class. And I was like, yeah, okay, I got to do this. I mean, I'm seeing visions of crosses and rainbows. Crosses are always Jesus. Rainbows are always God. Like, I'm seeing these things. God's talked to me twice. I better take a Bible study class if I really want to like get with it.
Sure.
And that has been mind-blowing. So in one class in particular, Oracle Maureen was channeling a message from Jesus, and I was allowed to ask a question. And I said, I'm not baptized. I'm not confirmed. How big of a deal is it really? Am I in trouble?
Yeah.
And he asked me to accept the mission of the Eucharist. Not a word I had ever heard before. I didn't know what a Eucharist was. Still trying to figure it out. So I meditated on it. I asked my guides and angels which church I should start going to. And fortunately, they're letting me go to one that's really close to my house.
Oh, very nice.
And so I go to Catholic church most Sundays. And I'm actually starting the RCIA program in September. So I will become baptized and confirmed as Catholic by next spring.
Okay.
So I'm very excited. So it's been a very big shift in my life regarding religion. It's been a big change, but it's been very positive, and it feels really, really good.
That's really cool. That's interesting. So I was baptized Catholic, growing up, and went to catechism schools, and looking back, like, what's the support system like? Like, because I feel like in a lot of religion and certainly in Christianity, that there's such a taboo with psychics and mediums. How are you crossing, bridging that gap? Like, do you not, like, are you not saying that what you do at church? Like, how is it received? I'm interested to know.
Yeah. So fortunately, when I go to church, people leave me alone. I don't have to talk to anybody.
Okay. All right. Well, that helps.
It's kind of how I like it. But I did speak with the woman several weeks ago who's in charge of the RCIA program, who will be teaching starting in September. And she asked my story and what got me there. And I was like, oh, crap. Okay, here we go. And I mean, I was just honest.
Yeah.
And she was so kind and so loving and asked really interesting questions and was seemingly really interested in what I was telling her. Because I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to hide who I am.
Right.
I'm not allowed to lie. I cannot lie. Ethics are really important. I'm sure, as you know, you're a medium.
And you don't want to do anything to damage credibility. And yeah, absolutely.
So I was just super honest. And so she was very nice. And seemed to receive it well. And but I did ask her, I said, okay, so the first night in class, am I going to be asked this question again? And if so, do I have to share it? Because to your point, psychic mediums aren't widely accepted anyway, especially in the Catholic Church.
Right.
So, but I decided a long time ago, I'm not going to hide who I am. I work for God, and there's nothing to be ashamed in that.
I think that's really cool. And I think, you're right on with your approach that, just bear what you're doing, and what drew you there. I think that's very commendable.
Thank you.
And good for you. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, we've got a few minutes left, and so I want to give you a chance to talk about how people can get a hold of you for a reading.
Sure.
And so what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So I do have a website, junehessler.com. On it, I share my story, much of what we talked about tonight, along with different services I offer. I offer psychic readings, mediumship readings, animal communication. I offer mentorship with someone who is starting to exhibit psychic abilities. I can kind of help walk you through it based on what I've learned. Mm-hmm. I do have an event coming up. I'm doing a virtual group reading over Zoom on August 10th. 50% of the profits from that event will go towards the children who are suffering in Syria, like I had mentioned before. If you'd like to sign up, send an email to info@junehessler.com. I believe the cost is $30. So it's reasonable. And I do limit, the space is limited. I'm not going to let like 15 people in class or in the session, because I want everyone to have a quality experience. So I do limit the number of people.
Yeah, I get it. Do you like doing the group readings? Is it like, what's your favorite part about it?
About group reading?
Yeah. For 10, 15 people or whatever the size is. Yeah. What do you like about it?
So when I do Zoom, I keep it like 4 people or less. When I do a group reading in person, right now I'm at 10 people. So 2 things that come to mind that I really like about whether it's in person or over Zoom. I love how other people can watch the experience that someone else is having. And I've learned that spirit is really interesting in how they communicate messages. So I tell people all the time, just because I'm over here talking to Nancy and her deceased grandmother, if something comes through in that conversation and it resonates with you, trust it, because spirit is very crafty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's very crafty.
That's really fun. And then the other thing too is the challenge. Yeah. I mean, reading for multiple people at once, it's really fun, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I enjoy group readings mostly because, like, you never know who's going to show up, right? And you've got, however many people you're reading for, and it never fails. Almost every group reading I've done, someone will say, "Well, it's my father-in-law," or, "I didn't think that he liked me." Somebody will come through for somebody that they would totally have not expected to come through. And I really enjoy that part of it. Like, I'd say, well, get ready, guys, because you never know, who's going to come through. Here's a quick question, and real quick, finish your events. You got another one coming up. So you got your August 10th virtual group reading.
And then for anyone who's in the North Metro area here in Minnesota, I'm doing an in-person group reading in Coon Rapids, Minnesota on September 17th. It is a massage and mediumship event. So my friend Holly is an excellent massage therapist. She'll have her massage chair, and she'll do individual chair massages as I do the group reading. We're limiting it to 10 people. So if you want to sign up for that, you email Holly at vhmassage21@gmail.com.
Hang on, say that again.
Sorry.
Let's see. I'm gonna put it in all the chats.
Oh, thanks. It's VH.
Massage. How do you spell Holly? It was
HOLLY.
Okay, at
at
VH.
So her name is Holly, but the email address
Oh, okay.
is VH for Violet Healing. That's her massage company. VH Massage, MASSAGE, the number 21
Okay.
at gmail.com.
Okay, great.
She's handling the sign up, so it's nice. I don't have to. I won't know who's going to be there. So
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank
And
you.
Trudy had a question, and we'll have to answer it kind of quick because we're amazingly out of time. It always goes so quick. So Trudy's asking, have you ever had a time when you didn't have something come through with a client or group? And I'll let you respond to that one, June.
Sure. I've had times where it takes a few minutes because it's so dense. I've learned that when it's dense, it's usually because they're probably in purgatory and they have a very limited amount of time where they're allowed to come in for the reading. Other times when it can be dense is when meaning slow, and it almost feels like I'm walking through molasses. Can also be because the soul that's trying to connect or that the person wants to come through is really unsure. Just because a person passes doesn't mean that their personality changes. If they were really shy and quiet when they were here, they're going to be really shy and quiet in a reading. If they were really outgoing and boisterous while they were here, they're going to be the same way in a reading. So there's some different reasons why it can be kind of like, I call it dense. Have I had information not come through at all? I only did one time when I was doing practice readings with a classmate of mine, and it involved a suicide, which is a longer story, and it makes sense when I tell it. But that is the one time that information didn't come through. It required 2 more readings, and then it finally came through. It was a recent suicide.
Yeah.
So.
I like how you put everything in, Trudy, and I'll answer. I mean, it's happened to me, and up front before I do a reading for anybody, I always say there's no guarantee anything's going to come through, but it's my job as a medium to give it my best shot and to let the communication come through. But usually when it's happened, it's like I've had like a sinus infection or something going on that's like probably distracting me to where I'm just not receiving stuff because I'm distracted. But I think it can happen to anybody, and it's we're human. We're not perfect, and sometimes, like June's saying with that one reading, it took a few times, for things to really come through. And appreciate you answering the question, June. And Trudy, thanks for asking. Everybody, Jackie Campbell, I saw her say hi, friend of the show. Well, we're out of time, but June, I want to thank you. Very special thank you. One, for having me be a guest on your show. It was a lot of fun. That's airing on August 20th. And I'll be posting about that on my show page so people can check out that conversation. We had a great time. And then 2, for taking time tonight and sharing everything that you did and sharing your experience and talking about your work. I think it's great, and I appreciate you coming on, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Anything you want to say to the audience before we head out?
I really appreciate your time today, Pete. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the time of all the listeners. It's been a lot of fun, and it's something I'm deeply passionate about and I love talking about. So this has been a treat for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Isn't it a treat to talk about this kind of stuff and
it's very fun.
And feel good about it, and so, keep doing what you're doing. I think it's great. And we'll have to have you back on again and see what you're up to, see what you're getting into at that point. And next week, everybody, remember, I've got Dr. Kelly Schutz coming on the show, and she's got some spooky stories. I'll just say that. And so we're going to be talking some spooky stories next week. So be sure to join us next week on WLTK-DB.com. I'm your host, Pete Orbay, on the Paranormal Pete Show. And special thanks to Midwest Medium podcast host June Hessler for coming on the show. And I'll leave everyone with my usual cheers of the week. Is the past is history and the future is a mystery, but today is a gift because it's the present. And so don't forget to take time each day to be present, myself included. I need to do that more, and to be present, and be there in the moment, be there with the ones you love and that you like, and truly find that time in your life to be there with them. And I wish everybody a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. All right, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.